What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Chasing Sound Live. Super psyched to have you guys here. It's been super busy for me lately. A lot of stuff going on. Just wanted to do a quick one here, tell you a couple cool things that I was getting into over the last couple weeks. I've been running all over the place in New Jersey. Finally got some air conditioning over here because it's almost 98 degrees in New Jersey for this weekend. So it's been really crazy, but got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Stuff we've been doing in the Discord, some stuff going on in the newsletter, some updates from some other folks and everything. So just wanted to jump on here, have fun on a Saturday, and talk to you guys what's going on. Gonna give you guys a little bit of my insight of how I learned songs, a couple cool things that I've been dealing with one student, and what we've been doing with this thing called like a Guitar Habits Week, which has been a lot of fun. And just talk about some of the news in the guitar world for this week. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was our riff or song learning challenge that we got going on right now in the Discord. It was a idea from David Donaldson, who's over there, and I'm so happy he brought it up because it's been a lot of fun. We've been learning a couple things here and there from each other about what's going on. We still got to upload a couple of videos to this Discord, but the first song that we all kind of picked together was Oasis's Some Might Say, which has had its own challenges, I guess. Not a really crazy song, but there's some interesting stuff going on in it. And the biggest reason why I wanted to bring it up on the live stream is because I would love for us to, have more entries into June's competition, and not a competition, June's challenge, and see, if we can get a different song, something different than Oasis. And it doesn't have to be like a full song, if it's something like Van Halen or Metallica, it could be like a part of a song, and we just all try to learn that part, and then we upload a video, kind of critique each other on what's going on. So some of the interesting stuff about the Oasis song is that when I was trying to play it to the original song, I noticed that my guitar sounded out of tune with the song. So what I did was I actually tuned my guitar up to what the song was. The live version is pretty standard tuning, so you can kind of start learning it with the live version. But then I noticed it was tuned up a quarter step, so not even a full half step. So that was kind of interesting for the actual album version. And there's two cool chords you can learn if you're not familiar with these two chords. One is a B sus2 and one is a C add 9, which are really cool sounding chords, especially that B sus2. If you play a lot of rock, it adds like a very heavy element to your chords. So go check it out. Actually, I have the tab up here right now, and not everything is perfect. Like, even this intro, I played in a different part of the neck. But as you can see here, there's nothing too crazy going on here. You got your D, your B sus2, a G chord, and then the whole chorus is just really E minor, G, and D. And then you got this one funny bridge part where it's F sharp minor, F, C, and A. Before it kicks back into the regular verse. So this is a pretty good tab overall, though. Like, the solo is just, the lead parts are pretty spot on with what there is here, and there's some cool kind of like double stop riffs that they play throughout the song. And I even like this outro that you have going on here. It's from Ultimate Guitar. So if you want to learn it, go check it out, and try to learn it. Try to submit a video into our Discord, and everyone's been super cool. Everyone's been super cool for months, where we're just trying to build each other up and get the guitar stuff going. But I'm really looking forward to June, because I think, like, if we have a full month to focus on the song, it's going to be a lot better. So. But that kind of leads me into, like, one of my main topics for today on the live stream is that how do I learn a song? And I guess it depends on if it's a song that I'm learning for a band that is, just a regular band, or if it's something from like a more popular band that might have a tab online. So if it's something like this Oasis song, I think the first thing that I'm trying to do just to kind of get the things under my fingers is go find if there's a tab. A lot of times there's something on Ultimate Guitar. If it's something that's like very technical, like an Aristocrats or like a Vi or Satriani, sometimes it won't always have a tab. You have to do a little bit of digging to find a tab for this stuff. But if it's just something like this Oasis song, which has been around for such a long time and from such a big band, I'll go on there. And I think what I'll do before even kind of learning any of the chords or the scales or any of the lead parts is, maybe it's an ego thing, but I'll just try to play along with the tab first time along with the song and just almost sight read the tab and see how well I do. Because there's something that is to be said about that, where you just try to wing it and see how much, memory of some of the chords and some of the scale shapes you might think there might play. It's interesting for me. Not everyone's going to like to work that way, but that's kind of what I do. I take a tab and I kind of learn it from there. After that first go through, that's when I'll kind of like step back and I will try to look at all the chord shapes and see if there's anything that I don't know. And before I kind of move forward with the chord shapes or the leads, I will learn those chord shapes. If there's anything that I didn't know, I will learn that before trying to tackle it. And then I'll break it down into like little chunks. So I will do, maybe just the verse, maybe just the bridge, maybe just the chorus. And then I'll try to kind of string two sections together. If it's something really, really quick, like a lead, what I like to do is I like to throw it into the app called Transcribe, which allows you to slow stuff down without changing the pitch. That's really been a big help for me, because I can start it at like 60% and then try to build it up to 100% over time without losing the real definition of what the note is. So that's what I'll do. I'll try to take a step back and do a little bit of research, and I think that's worth your time because there's a lot of stuff you can learn from that. So new chords, new scale shapes. I'll always try to relate it to something that I might already know. So chord shape wise, I'll see if there's open chords, seventh chords, bar chords, power chords, whatever we're doing. And then for the lead stuff, I'll always try to see if there's a scale pattern that might contain the notes of the lead that I'm trying to play. In this song, it's a lot of pentatonic stuff. In many songs, it's a lot of pentatonic stuff, which is why it's so important to learn your pentatonic shapes, your major scale, your minor scale, because so many of the things that we have out there right now are based off those scales and can be used when you're learning. So that's the first thing I'll do. I'll try to really kind of like relate it, do a little bit of research, some detective work on the song, and understand the chords, understand the scales, and then go back to the song and just, again, take it part by part, verse, intro, verse, chorus, bridge, and really work on it. And when it comes to something that's instrumental, like a Steve Vai or something that Guthrie Govan is playing, I'll have to break it down even more. It might be bar by bar because it's difficult stuff. It's not super easy stuff. Stuff like Govan, or if I'm trying to learn a Dream Theater song. And then, just go easy on yourself. Put the whole song into something like Transcribe and slow it down dramatically, 65%. And I think that'll be, a big deal. And that's really it. There's not much more to it unless there's not a tab. And at that time, I will do the age-old trick of first trying to find the root note on the low E string and trying to find the key signature of the song. After that, I'll start breaking out a piece of scrap paper, maybe breaking out Guitar Pro and trying to transcribe the song, at least get the chords down. Get the chords down first, and then finally break all the leads out. And that I find sometimes is easier to do with Guitar Pro if I don't have a guitar on me at the time. But if you have, like I said, if you have a guitar with you and you're ready to transcribe using that, it's a very helpful tool, of course, when you're learning a song that you haven't heard anymore. But that's kind of the gist of it. Whether I have a tab, whether I don't have a tab, it doesn't usually take too much to learn the song. And I think just repetition and playing to the song itself helps so much. That's such a big deal. And then after you feel like you got a good grasp on the song, just to kind of pull it back and kind of just play with, like for this Oasis song, what I've been trying is to play with something like a guitar-less track where it has drums, bass, and vocals, but the guitar is completely out. You might get like a 4 count with the metronome, and then you play it yourself, and you know, the song relies on you to play all the riffs. So that's been one of the biggest ways that I've been able to learn. And not every song has a YouTube video like that where there'll be a guitarless version. But even if you don't, it's good enough to play along with the record. And one of the other things I do if I'm having a tough time, like a lot of this Guthrie Govan stuff is difficult. What I'll do is I'll try to find a lot of videos. I'll keep on doing that detective work. I think that's the biggest part of it, is that I'll try to find YouTube videos of them playing the song live, and I'll just see where their hand is on the fretboard, which will give me some clues to, where they might be playing it and how they might be playing it. Kind of like Troy Grady. If you watch any of the Troy Grady stuff, you could see that he really zones in, slows stuff down, tries to zoom in to the hands and sees what's going on, not only with the left hand, but with the picking hand as well. So those are a couple of my favorite tricks. If you don't have a tab, kind of find the key signature first, just easily enough on the low E string, and work on your intervals so you'll know what the next chord is. It'll really help you in learning songs. Try to find a tab, and before you kind of get into playing the song a lot, make sure that you know all the chords, because one of the things that you don't want to be doing when you're trying to play a song is figure out what the chord is. It'll definitely throw you off, and you'll be stuck behind after you're trying to play the song. There's no way. So like I said, what I like to do is just take a step back, learn all the chords, learn all the scales and the riffs, and then go and try to tackle the song. And then, like I said, for more detective work, just try to find live videos of the song, try to find other people doing playthroughs. There's so much of that stuff on YouTube, and I wish I had some of that stuff growing up. So there's a lot of stuff you can get into, nowadays. Kind of to tag along with that, I wanted to tell you guys about something I've been working with one of my students, that we're kind of calling, I'm calling it, I guess, Guitar Habits Weeks, where, similar to somebody like Tyler Larson did a while ago. He had that great Habits Of series where he went over guys like Jimmy Page, and I think he went over, maybe Kirk Hammett and some of those guys, John Frusciante. What we're doing is we're kind of dedicating weeks. The first 2 weeks we did was Eric Clapton, and now we're kind of past the first week of Jimmy Page, where I'll just do all my research that I could. These are guys that I've listened to for years, but just to really do, again, some detective work and saying what are the things that make these guys so different, and like what are their habits, what type of scales do they use, what type of rhythm do they do, what type of techniques do they do a lot of palm muting, a lot of legato, a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs, what genres are they pulling from? Are they pulling from the blues? Are they have like a jazz blues tinge? And then just writing all that down, and the fun part is seeing what makes them different, but the other fun part is seeing what makes them the same. A lot of guys like Clapton, Page, and so many other guitar players that are good combine major and minor pentatonic, do repeating motifs. There's so much stuff that makes them the same. It's kind of cool to pull out what is actually different from them. But I think that's kind of cool, that you can do if you want to shake up your practice schedule. That's something cool that you can do yourself. If you're bored with your practice schedule that you have now, maybe 1 week work on somebody like Kirk Hammett, just like what his riffs are. Break out your wah pedal, break out your pentatonic scales, break out your Mixolydian mode, and then the next week try to change to somebody completely different, maybe another genre that you like but not exactly the same. So maybe you'll go over like Julian Lage and try to learn some jazz stuff. And I think the melding of those different styles and all those different habits will make you a much better guitar player, and will really change your playing in a dramatic way, because it's cool to learn all the metal guy stuff, it's cool to learn all the blues guy stuff, but once you start shaking it up, you kind of start getting this weird mixture of things that makes your playing something very, very different, and it sounds more like the more that you incorporate that into your practice and your playing. So just something to try out. Like I said, if you're bored with how your practice is right now, it's something that you can try and then, see how it goes for you. To tag on that, we have a cool update this week for the magnet where, speaking of Troy Grady, the magnet has been talked about for a really, really long time. And it finally got an update. So look at Troy here, hilarious. So here it is in the box. He does an unboxing. He shows us what's going on with it. This was been on Kickstarter for a very, very long time. Actually, the first time I went to Kickstarter years ago, it didn't get funded all the way, but this time it did. And it's just been a long haul. I mean, not only just because of COVID, but because of all the design issues. And now it seems like they found something that they're finally happy with. So he unboxes the magnet here, and if you don't know what the heck this is a holder for your phone for the guitar that snaps onto the neck that allows you to get a camera really up close on your picking hand, and it's a great tool for like understanding what you're doing. He's used it for a lot of great stars, Michelangelo Badio, Marty Friedman, all sorts of people. And he talks about, how it's more red, some of the changes that have been made. He even has like a new sort of string thing that kind of locks it in if you're afraid that your phone might fall, even though it seems to have a pretty good grip. But if you're on stage and you're kind of moving around a bit and you don't want to risk your expensive phone from falling, you might want to include that with, how you set this thing up. So the biggest story here is that now that it's done, they got to make a couple hundred of these, maybe even more than that. And let me skip ahead here. So this is what this is kind of what it looks like. It's more red than it was before. I think that was something that had to do with all the different camera angles and what he was seeing on the playback of some of these videos. But it looks like the magnet that he had before. So the story behind this is that now that it's finally done and they're on they have a model that they're happy with, that they're going to actually produce. They're going to produce hundreds of these. They said that might take a couple months. But the good story is, I didn't even get in on the Kickstarter for this because it was so, it took so long that I was like, man, I hope this really comes out. But the good news is that when it does release in a couple months, they'll have some that are available for regular purchase. So, Troy Grady, great dude. This magnet thing has been, like I said, in the works for so long. So I'm happy to see these guys get that out there. And if you've never checked out Cracking the Code, go check it out. There's a lot of videos on YouTube, and then there's a subscription that you can do over at Cracking the Code, Troy's site. Go check it out. It really helped not only my picking progress, but a lot of people in our Discord have loved Troy's lessons in the past too. So that's it. The magnet. It's finally getting made after all these time. Wanted to talk about James Hetfield, and I did not expect this to come up in the guitar world news this week. But if you read this and you watch this video, Hetfield is in I forgot if it's Brazil. He's not in the States, but the biggest thing is that he's in another country and he gets on stage and he said in front of 60,000 people that he felt like an old guy and that he couldn't play anymore. And then the cool thing was that Rob Trujillo, Kirk Hammett, Lars Ulrich all go over there, give him a hug, and he seemed to get pretty emotional for James Hetfield, right? I mean, this is like the crazy thing about this. I think the thing to take away from this, I've been listening to these guys since I was 16 years old, so like way more than even half my life. These guys were one of the first reasons that I even wanted to play guitar in the first place. So it's interesting to think that a band that iconic, who sold over 100 million records easy, and James Hetfield, who was quite possibly top three, if not the best rhythm guitar player of all time, even gets, has some emotional confidence issues every once in a while. It's kind of crazy. One of the quotes down here, he said it's a little bit of Oz. So, kind of referencing the Wizard of Oz movie, like the man behind the curtain, pay no attention, but this guy behind the curtain is just dying and struggling and freaking out and not knowing who he is. And then he kind of gives a little bit more insight into it, saying that he's no good without the rest of the band. Off tour, who am I? Which is interesting because he's a family man too. But even in my limited time being on the road, when I was younger, it does feel interesting, kind of like when you get back from tour, where you're like, man, I was doing this thing with my friends for so long, and now I get off the road, and I'm like, oh man, I guess I gotta get a job again and go back to regular life. It is a big change, and especially I can imagine that for somebody like Hetfield, this is his full-time life, and he's for sure gave up so much for Metallica, and I'm sure with his family that it's hard to, am I Hetfield, the musician guy right now, the guitar guy, the metal guy, or am I a dad? It must be crazy, but just goes to show that even got somebody like James Hetfield can get freaked out from time to time. I just hope, being that, again, this is one of my favorite bands. I just hope everything's all right with Hetfield. We've seen too many musicians over the last bunch of decades that are having problems like this. Mental health is a really big thing. I'm a big advocate for that. That I hope he's all right. And I'm sure that hopefully the band and the management will take care of him. But there's a lot of times where guys like Chester from Linkin Park, or one of my favorite singers of all time, Chris Cornell, you never know what the heck happens. Even Taylor Hawkins of the Foo Fighters, there's so much stuff going on that it's difficult, even for these big rock stars from time to time. Everyone's dealing with something different on their own terms. So to bring it back to more of a guitar thing that's kind of cool, these were just announced not too long ago, which is a collaboration between Hetfield and Ernie Ball, and these are Papa Het's hardwired Master Core signature strings. This is a 3-pack. It comes in this cool green tin with his strings. I think I'm going to pick a tin of these, even though I don't play 11s. The cool thing to know about these is that they're 11 through 50, so a little bit of a heavier gauge than what I feel like a lot of people play. But if you're a rhythm player and you want some pretty hardcore stuff, this is probably for you. Pretty cheap too, $35 for the tin and for those 3-packs. The cool thing about these is that Hetfield worked with Ernie Ball, and Metallica's been playing Ernie Ball strings for a million years at this point, alongside a lot of other people. And they're regular strings, but they do have a lot of features from the Paradigm series, which I liked a lot. I had a video on YouTube a while back reviewing the Paradigm stuff. I think I even did the acoustic strings, and I really like them. They're a little bit more expensive, but they sounded really good. I know this stuff is like so minuscule between the difference between just like regular slinkies and what these strings might sound like, but what I did was, I strung up the same exact guitar when I played the Paradigms, and I strung them up with the slinkies, stretched them out, played, and I strung them with the Paradigms. I mean, I like both of them. It just depends on what type of EQ that you're looking for, and I feel like that is a very personal preference for some of these things. So kind of cool. Like I said, hope Hetfield is all right, and if you've checked these strings out already, let me know. This was really cool. This is going in the newsletter for tomorrow. And by the way, if you are not signed up for the Substack yet, go to chasingsound.com, where I have a link right on the sidebar if you're on a computer to sign up for the newsletter. I think we're getting close to a couple hundred people at this point. That's been going on for, I think, 5-6 years now. So slow growth, but we're having fun. And ever since I changed over to this Substack, which is a newsletter provider, I've been having a lot of fun. More people have been checking out the newsletter. Some people are even supporting the newsletter financially, which is awesome. I would really appreciate that. It'd be awesome. But But yeah, go check out the Substack. So anyway, this is going to be in the newsletter for tomorrow, and it's talking about John Frusciante sharing 7 tips that will make you a better guitar player. So, not only is this a cool article for just guitar players, but I think it's cool for musicians in general. So, Frusciante is back with the Chili Peppers right now. That's a big deal. They have the new album Unlimited Love out, which has been really cool. Been listening to that a lot. And so I wanted to just kind of go over some of the tips that he had here. So never stop pushing yourself. I thought this was kind of cool because he talks about how just like musicians are different in general. So first and foremost, he's talking about Flea, where he goes, every time he picked up his bass, an awesome thing came out of it. And so when I joined the band, I thought I could be like that. And it turns out I can't be like that. So he says, for me to be equal to Flea, I have to work 20 times harder. I have to be playing along with other people's music all the time. So, this is one of my favorite parts of this entire article because, I've been in so many different bands at this point, and it's true. Different people work well in different scenarios. Like for me, and even watching some of the old Metallica videos, Hetfield likes to for a lot work on his own and then kind of bring his stuff to the band. I'm very much that way. Every once in a while, I like to kind of jam in the room and see what comes out. But sometimes that's really hard. It takes a lot out of you emotionally, I feel like. So this was kind of a cool tip. Never stop pushing yourself and just trying to figure out who you are, which is kind of what's cool about this next one. So stay true to who you are. And that, just not trying to show people that you have to show off, but kind of playing for the song, which kind of ties in with number 3. Don't set out to impress. A lot of people, so many guitar players I've seen, especially instrumental guitar guys, when they first get going, they want to show off, whether that be Metallica, whether that be Vi, whoever. And that's part of who they are. But it's something interesting that really happens when you go from just trying to shred and impress guitar players to when you play for the song and you really want to impress everyday music listeners, right? So I think this 2 and 3 are really important tips. Which kind of goes into number 4. Keep it simple and your bandmates will shine. So here Frusciante is saying, when I started to put all those teenage ideas out of my head, I started really simplifying, trying to play more from the heart rather than trying to dazzle people. Flea started sounding better. So it's kind of cool, you're not thinking about your own parts as much, but you're kind of trying to listen to the rest of the band, which is such an integral part of being a good musician. So yeah, this is really cool. It's so funny. I realized that by going into rehearsal and instead of playing it, just do feedback or hold one note for a long time, and then Flea, this made Flea sound awesome. So that being said, Frusciante is such a great guitar player in his own right that he can do either of those things and kind of wear his heart on his sleeve with his influences and somebody like Hendrix and really shine. So which also leads into this one. I think this article is really nice because all these kind of lead into one another. A guitar player's true ability lies in how they interact with the band. Too often people assume that a guitar player's worth comes from their ability to draw attention to themselves. There are a lot of great guitar players who are great at drawing attention to themselves, but to me, the essential thing that those people have, the other people who don't draw attention, and then he mentions a couple different guitars, is they knew how to be a member of the band and make everybody else sound better. So he says, Eddie Van Halen happened to have a flashy style, but he was a great rhythm player, and he made those drums sound great. He made that bass sound great, the singer sound great. And that's true. A lot of these tips are similar, but I think they hold a lot of weight. Master your dynamics. This is very, very cool, and I see this with a lot of students that just get going with me. They'll talk about learning songs. They'll learn the song, but it won't sound exactly like the song because they haven't figured out how to work with dynamics, how to figure out the techniques that are part of the song. So I think that's interesting. And my favorite one here is switch off your mind and feel the chemistry. And I think this is so important when you're coming up with songs. What Frusciante says here is it's definitely best to turn your brain off and just listen and feel whatever feelings everybody else is putting through you. It's definitely important to listen to everybody else, but you should also be having fun listening to what comes out of your instrument. the biggest thing here is, it's good to know all these scales, all these chords and everything. But sometimes when you're just jamming and you're able to just let it fly, you don't think too much. It's a big deal. It's happened to me so many times where I'm like, okay, I'm figuring out the key of the song, figuring out kind of like what scale pattern I might want to play, and I'm gonna take risks with this, and I'm just gonna like let it go. I'm not gonna think about, oh, I'm trying to hit the third here, I'm trying to hit the fifth. I'm just gonna let it slide and just see what feels right. And you'd be surprised at how many times things happen like that, where it's one of the most exciting times to be a musician. So very, very cool advice from John Frusciante. And then one last thing that I wanted to talk about for the day was this guy, Matteo Mancuso, who's an Italian guitar player. The sad thing is that I can't find any of his stuff really on streaming yet. And I know he's working on an album. But the funny thing is that I wrote it down here. Bonamassa said he was scary good at playing. So when a guy like Bonamassa is saying that, very, very interesting. One of the other things to keep in mind is that he plays with his fingers. And the crazy thing, I'm going to play 2 clips for you here. Hopefully, I'm hoping, please, I hope I don't get copyright striked for this. But he plays with his fingers, and his sweeps are incredible. He started out doing a lot of covers, but now he's been sharing a lot of original material. So I'm going to play 2 things for you guys. This first one is an original guitar solo called Time to Leave. And just, again, keep in mind that he is he's doing a lot of these sweeps, not with a pick, but he plays all with his fingers, and it just sounds pretty incredible. So check this out. I mean, just incredible. That was his song called guitar solo from Time to Leave. And I also wanted to play this one, which is from a song called Past Language. And if that first one didn't impress you, first of all, I'm surprised. But secondly, check this out. I don't want to play too much because, like I said, I know YouTube is a little funky with how they deal with playing other people's music on your channel. So go check out Matteo Mancuso. He's a really great guitar player. I can't wait to hear more music from him because, like I said, everything that I've been able to find so far has just been on YouTube, and I would love to hear more because it's awesome. I think if I think about it, I could swear that might be a Yamaha. Especially from the body shape and the logo on the headstock. Yeah, a Yamaha RevStar Custom. And I gotta say, it sounds really, really good. It looks like he's going into a universal audio interface and has some Focusrite stuff in the back too. A lot of good gear choices, of course. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. That's kind of it for me for this week. Kind of like I said, a laid back week. Wanted to go over some of the stuff that I've been finding. And if you like that stuff in your inbox instead, like I said, go to chasingsound.com where you can check out my Substack. Actually, let me just show you kind of what that looks like. Let's see here. So this is kind of what it looks like right here. Where I was talking last week, it was my birthday, about a song learning challenge, pentatonic shred. There's all sorts of stuff that we've been going over, over the last couple months. And it's, like I said, it's entirely free. So go check it out and sign up. We have a lot of cool people on there already who are enjoying the posts, and it's been going out nearly every Sunday for over 5 years. So it's been one of my favorite things to do. And I'm just trying to build, a little community here, whether it be with a couple of these live streams and who catches them here, whether that be with the newsletter, whether that be with the Discord. I feel like we all love all this stuff. We love all the guitar stuff, and we talk about it literally every day in the Discord. So it's a lot of fun. Go make sure to join that as well. And that's it. If you see anything cool in the guitar world that I haven't checked out, comment on the newsletter, comment in this video, send me an email, brian@chasingsound.com, and let me know. And I'll be back on the live streams in another 2 weeks. See you then.